to the Fashion Fables podcast. Today, I am welcoming Manon, Bookstagrammer and blogger based in the Netherlands. Manon, I appreciate you coming on today.
Of course, no worries.
So, let's get started. If you could begin by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Of course. So my name is Manon. I am 26 years old, and as you already stated, I am from the Netherlands. So by day, I am a full-time English teacher, and by night, I am a bookstagrammer. Well, aside from bookstagramming and teaching, I also love reading, I love writing, I love gaming. And recently, I have also found a new passion in embroidering.
Wow, that's great how you have so many different interests.
I do.
And it also, like, being an English teacher kind of ties into what you do as a bookstagrammer because I'm sure that
Definitely,
you assign your students a lot of reading and stuff like that. So
I do.
that's so unique and creative. I love it. So what inspired you to become a bookstagrammer and what began this passion? If you could just talk a little bit about what a bookstagrammer is as well.
Yeah, of course. So, well, first of all, a bookstagrammer is basically someone who posts about books on Instagram. And well, that can either be, books they've just read or books they really love or whatever. Just be creative in taking photos about them. What inspired me to be a bookstagrammer? Well, I think that this was back in 2016. I sort of refound my love for reading again after a really long break from it. And then basically, I browsed Instagram and then I came across the hashtag Bookstagram.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, what is this? So I basically clicked it and then I saw all these beautifully styled photos and I was like, okay, I really would love to do that as well. And that's basically when I started taking photos about books.
Okay, wow. Yeah, no, definitely. I agree because when I came across your feed, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool because there's such like a set aesthetic, and I think that it just makes it so nice to like you just like want to keep scrolling because everything looks so like pleasing and stuff like that. So
Thank you.
um it was really like a great idea for you to start this because I feel like you're so good at it and I love like seeing your content and stuff like that. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, thank you so much for the compliment.
And so, how do you come up with your creative aesthetic and create your content?
I think I get most of my ideas from fellow bookstagrammers.
Mhm.
When I just scroll across my across the photos of other people I follow, I often get inspired. Sometimes they have a certain prop that I'm interested in using as well, or sometimes they, have a special layout or they have their photo angled in a certain way. And then I sort of try that as well with my photos. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I think that is my main inspiration source. I also have a Pinterest board, but yeah, I don't use it that often, to be honest.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I definitely get a lot of inspiration from Pinterest because I feel like it's like a never-ending thing. You can just keep finding like different
That's true.
posts and stuff like that, and so I love it. But I also agree that you can find some really cool people on the Instagram platform, and I think that sometimes people forget that it's not only about like sometimes it's hard to not compare yourself to others because you see all these different accounts and stuff like that. But sometimes like honestly Instagram is such a good way to find accounts that you do like and that you are inspired by, and then that gives you ideas for your content and what you want to post. And I think it's like so cool to have like a community of fellow bookstagrammers or even bloggers that kind of just share the same passion, because it almost feels like you guys are like feeding off of each other rather than competing with one another, and I think that's like really important in order to grow and succeed like within what you're doing.
Definitely. It's one of my favorite things about Bookstagram that we're not, there to compete with each other, that we're really there as a community and we sort of lift each other up. That's really, really inspiring.
Yes, definitely. So, what are your favorite color schemes to, work with and post?
I am definitely one for the neutrals.
Mhm.
I use something, something brownish in almost every photos. I think that really describes my aesthetic as well. I also started the hashtag perpetual autumn because, autumn is my favorite season.
Yeah, me
And yeah, I definitely, yeah, I just love the color scheme, the autumn color scheme. And I sort of, over the years, I definitely incorporated that more and more into my feed until, well, yeah, basically I take the photos that I do now.
hmm Wow, yeah. I also love autumn, and so when I saw your account, I'm like, oh my gosh, like books, but it's also like autumn themed. So it really just like caught my eye because I am one for neutrals as well, and so kind of seeing another creator that does something like not like what I do is almost like so cool to see that like I have like my blog for like my podcast, but then you do your other thing, and it's almost cool to kind of see how the two come together but how they're also different. And Yeah, I think it's just really important to kind of stick to what you like because that's what makes like your audience, I feel like, engage when they know who you are as a person based on what you're posting, because you're staying like true to yourself. And there's so many accounts out there, but you want to kind of grab your audience's attention, and by having like a set feed and aesthetic like the way you do, I think it's really helpful. And making sure that your followers are constantly like eager to see what you post next. And so it's just so cool. And so I asked you this question because I really love your feed, and I just wanted to kind of know maybe like the ideas behind it. So,
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I really feel like it's definitely something of my own. I used to a couple of years back when I was still sort of looking for my aesthetic. I also try to sort of recreate or copy from other bookstagrammers or other photos just in general. Um, and even though that wasn't ultimately my aesthetic, I really felt like it helped me to get where I am now with
yeah.
my feed.
Yeah, and I definitely think that it takes time to kind of get the groove of like how you like to post and what you like to post. But
Oh, definitely.
I feel like when you do, it's almost like, okay, like now I know what I'm doing. And it's just like you continue it and you get better as you go along.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I feel like some people just assume that what they see is like so easy, but behind the scenes, a lot goes into it. And so that's why I kind of like understand that. So I kind of think it's just so cool about what you do. So
Yeah, I definitely get that question asked a lot as well. Like, how do you take your photos? Why are they so pretty? And then I'm always like, I've spent years and years trying to practice
yeah,
this. Really, you should just, yeah, keep practicing and you'll get there eventually.
right. So, what did you feel the best ways to grow your following were, and how do you just keep up with your growth on like a day to day basis?
Okay, so that is really a difficult question because Instagram keeps throwing updates at, basically all the content creators out there. So for the last couple of weeks, I have been barely growing at all. I have been at a constant number, and just for the last week, I have been slowly growing again. Um, in the beginning, I found it to be a good thing to like within the Bookstagram community. We have these shout out for shout out sessions,
Uh-huh.
and I used to join basically all of them. And it's basically that you get a shout out on people's stories, and that was a really good way for me to grow into the early numbers. I also did a lot of giveaways. They really helped me gain a lot of followers.
Okay.
But then once I was at around 20,000 followers, I found it got, a bit tedious to keep doing them.
Yeah.
The giveaways I still do. I really love, giving an occasional book away to someone who really loves reading or who really loves a special edition or whatever.
Right.
But I found from the 20,000 that it kind of um, grew by itself, if that makes kind of sense. I got a lot more engagement. Hashtags were working a lot better. I got bigger reach, and through that, I also gained a lot more followers.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I feel like I asked this question because when I do, I get like different answers from every creator because I feel like it really is like an individual like experience. Like one person's way of gaining followers might be different from another person. So I just think it's really interesting to kind of hear, what you have to say, especially because you do have such a large following. So it's almost like just interesting to kind of hear about how you got to where you are today. Um and I think it has a lot to do with like trial and error, like seeing what your followers like and dislike. And I agree with like the follower like Instagram algorithm. It kind of changes all the time. And sometimes like you'll get like barely any engagement and then you're like, wait, but I have like so many followers. Like who's seeing my post? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sometimes you get like a little like almost like upset because like you want your hard work to be noticed, and when it's not, you're kind of like confused by it and like why is this happening to me. But I think that Instagram isn't an easy platform to kind of work with, and I think that you sometimes just have to be patient and let the process like work its way out itself and kind of just like trust it more, because like it's very like you really never know, like one day you'll feel like you're in a slump and that might last for a week or two, and then all of a sudden you feel like you break out of it. And so I think it's just a matter of like staying consistent and making sure you still have that passion, and like if you have a passion, I think that it will shine through no matter what, in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being persistent is definitely key here, because I really found that when I put in that, yeah, I put in a lot of hard work and a lot of hours in the beginning, and that is really paying off because that really made my account grow in the early stages. And then now it is not that I don't put in a lot of hours anymore, but it's really nice to see that it really is paying off now.
Right. And it's all because of your hard work. So good for you for everything. And so, what do you hope to achieve from your blog? Like, is there anything in specific that you kind of see yourself achieving in the future with it, or just anything about that?
Well, my blog is definitely different from my Bookstagram account. I started it 1.5 years ago, basically when the first wave of Corona hit. That was when I decided, okay, you know what, I am really working a lot from home right now. I need something else to keep me busy because otherwise the days will just blend together and everything is just all the same, and I just couldn't have that.
Yeah.
So I decided to start a blog. That was really something that interested me in the beginning. Um, but then I sort of got bored with it after a couple of posts. I was uninspired. I was like, okay, I'm not sure how to do this.
Yeah.
This blogging thing is really new to me. And then at the beginning of this year, so 2021, I thought, okay, maybe I'll just try it again. Just this time I'll keep persisting. Um, but I didn't. I again only had a couple of posts, and then again I got bored with it. I found some other hobbies that I really love doing, and I decided, okay, you know what? If I don't think it's for me. I've tried twice now, and it's not really sticking. So I don't think this is really something that I love to do.
Uh,
Um, so aside, to get back to your question about what I want to achieve, I don't think that I can really achieve anything with it anymore or still unless I really am going to spend a lot of time researching things. Um, I don't really think I will. I did come in contact with some amazing publishers through my blog, so that's really neat. But aside from that, I don't really think that I'll be active on it much anymore.
okay. Well, thank you for that answer. I just think that it was really cool to see that you had your Instagram, then your blog, but sometimes you just feel like you start something because you think that it'll work out, and sometimes like it just doesn't. But luckily you have your Instagram, which is doing very well. So I think that in the future, if you always wanted to go back to the blog, you can, like if that's just something like you're like, oh, maybe like I really just want to get back into this, and um I'm sure it could grow and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that it's really good to kind of like spread your wings and try new things, because if you never tried, then you probably would have never known if you liked it or if you didn't like it. So
Exactly.
I think that even though you're kind of feeling like you might not want to continue with it, I think that it wasn't like a bad thing for you to like begin it.
Oh, definitely. No, no, no. I definitely have zero regrets
Yeah.
to dive into that. Um, but yeah, at the time, a lot of time and effort goes into content creating, whether it's a podcast, whether it's Bookstagram, whether it's a blog. And there's only 24 hours in a day, and I already have my Instagram account, which I am super proud of, and which I definitely want to put a lot of time and effort in. Um, so at one point you just have to say, okay, I have to unplug for a bit and have some off-screen timing.
Right. Just time for yourself, so if there's like a nice balance so you don't get like
Definitely.
overworked or whatever. Um and what is your favorite part about connecting with your followers and having the platform you do?
Well, I already talked a little bit about how we sort of lift each other up, how the whole community just feels like one big family, and well, we all just connect over the one thing we love, which is books.
Mhm.
um, what I really loved, and that's especially a little bit from last year. About a year ago, I read a classic for the first time, Anne of Green Gables, and I completely fell in love with it, and it is now my favorite book ever. And it is definitely a book that I talk about often on my Instagram account, and it's definitely a book that I show often on my Instagram account. And I really love how I um, sometimes get a message from someone stating, "Oh, you know what? I have seen you talk about it so often. I have picked it up and I am really loving it
Yeah,
now."
that's
And
so
that's really something that I love, that I often think to myself, okay, you know what? I did that. I had the influence to make someone read a certain book that I really loved, and we can now share our experiences about it.
yeah, for sure. I think that's like an amazing part about the platform is that you never know who you're, inspiring, who you're having an impact on, like a positive impact. And so not that you kind of look for those compliments, but it also like kind of makes everything feel worth it when somebody does reach out about it, because you're like, oh my gosh, like people are paying attention to what I'm doing, they enjoy what I'm posting, and it just kind of boosts your I guess confidence a little bit to kind of continue wanting to keep being creative and keep coming up with ideas and stuff like that. So I would say that's probably one of my favorite parts too, because I'll get something similar where it's like I'll post like some type of um shirt I got, and then I'll see someone like get something like similar, and like they'll tag me in it, and it just makes it like a community, like you're saying, and a space where you feel kind of like just yourself to want to post things, because you know that you're only going to get support and stuff like that. And sometimes I feel like when it's just like my personal page, sometimes I don't feel as much support because I don't have that, you know what I mean? I don't have that like community where it's like everyone just is so happy to see what you're gonna post next, and stuff like that. So that's why I do really value like having my blog and my account, because I think it's just a really good way to kind of have positive energy. And I'll just go on it when I'm having like a rough day maybe, and it'll just make me feel better to see all the like love from the community and stuff like that. So I could relate.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely has brought me some of my most valuable friendships as well.
Mm.
Some of my best friends, I've met through the Bookstagram community, and it's really nice to see what, the internet can do, actually.
Oh, that's so amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun.
Me too, definitely. Thank you so much for inviting me, for having me here. I definitely had a blast.
Oh, of course.